7th presidential interview, former Senator Bongbong Marcos already has several interviews lined up for him. An hour ago, Marcos had an interview on One Page sa Totoo Lang, and to talk about what they discussed, we have one of their host, News 5 correspondent Maricel Halili. Good evening, Mase.
Good evening, Robbie.
Sabi niya wala siyang inaatrasan, but he did not show up for that interview with Jessica Soho. Did you get to ask him about it? Anong sabi niya?
Yes, we asked him about it earlier, Robbie. And in particular, what can he say about the hashtag Marcos Duterte, rather hashtag Marcos Duwag, which became a trend on Twitter just a few hours or a day after the presidential interview of veteran journalist Jessica Soho. Senator Marcos said that he is not duwag because in the first place, he actually accommodates several interviews from the media. He just doesn't want to entertain journalists who he calls as biased. So we asked, what does he mean by biased? Ang sagot niya lang, it simply means anti-Marcos. We also asked, how did he say, or how did it come up with the idea that some journalists are anti-Marcos? Sabi niya lang, he already experienced it in his previous interviews because they kept on asking questions, negative questions about the Marcoses. For him, issues that happened 35 years ago must not be discussed now because it's in the past.
Oh, sinabi niya, I saw that report. He said, we must move on. Let's not talk about things that happened in the past. Notwithstanding that, knowing you and Jovi, naitanong niyo naman siguro siya sa mga ibang issues na karap sa kanya. Pandarambong ng tatay niya, yung pagiging diktador, human rights abuses, tax evasion cases. Did you ever get to ask him about these things, and what did he say?
We asked him how can he convince those martial law victims to support his administration if ever he wins as president of this country. And sabi niya lang, he will simply convince these people by simply giving or explaining his plans for the country. He will, or sabi niya, he will promise that he will do anything that he can to improve the situation in our country. And kung hindi daw maniwala itong mga to, wala na raw siyang magagawa. All he can say, all he can do is to explain what he plans to do for the country.
Okay, now Mase, this is not from 35 years ago. In fact, this story was also trending over the past couple of days. In fact, even today, sinabi niya, tinanong siya, paano yung salin? Are you willing to upend the policy there, and will you release your SALNs? Naitanong niyo ba yan sa kanya?
Yes, we asked him about the SALN. Apparently, it's a complete turnaround of what he said during the interview also with Sa Totoo Lang last year, roughly around October of last year. He said that he was willing to publish his SALN for transparency. But when we asked him earlier about it, he was a bit defensive when explaining that because he said that he already explained that issue. And he's a bit concerned that his SALN might be used by some political critics or might be used against him in politics. So it seems that he is not willing to publish or to make public his SALN anymore. Ang sabi niya lang, if there's a case that will be filed against him, he's willing to give his SALN before the court. Other than that, hindi na kailangan na i-public pa.
Okay, maraming salamat, Maricel Halili. That was News 5 correspondent Maricel Halili, who's also host of One Page sa Totoo Lang.